morning, everyone. So I'm Bayani Vicencio, and I'm going to present my research proposal entitled Selected Psychoacademic Variables as Predictors of Academic Performance of First-Year College Students in Biological Science in the Lyceum of the Philippines University. For the background of my study, next slide please. So students' academic performance occupies a very important place in education as well as in the learning process. It is considered as a key criterion to judge one's total potentialities and capacities, which are frequently measured by examination results. It is used to pass judgment on the quality of education offered by the academic institutions. The consistent poor performance of students in science subjects, despite the concerted efforts exerted by educational researchers, academicians, and policymakers to improve science teaching and learning, makes this issue a foremost concern nowadays. For the past decades, students' poor performance in science has been reported, and in order to stem the tide, concerted efforts have been exerted by the education-related agencies in both public and private sectors and educational researchers toward the improvement of the teaching and learning of science. Unfortunately, the students' performance is still taking down drain. Empirical studies found out that various factors affect students' performance, and this includes study skills, motivation, gender, socioeconomic status, parental involvement, parental educational background, the type of school, and even the attitude of students. Despite the myriad research endeavors at uncovering the factors that affect students' performance, gaps still exist in the area of possible effects of some psychoacademic factors such as study habits, time allotted for studying, attitude of the students towards biological science, and attitude towards the teacher handling the subject. Thus, I am inspired to work on this. For the purpose of the study, the main objective of this study is to statistically ascertain the individual and collective effects of selected psychoacademic variables in predicting first-year college students' performance in biological science. This study specifically aims to answer the following research questions. Next slide, please. First, what is the individual and collective contribution of the following psychoacademic variables in predicting the first-year college students' performance in biological science, such as study habits, time allotted for studying, attitude towards the subject, and attitude towards the faculty handling the subject. Second, next slide please, is there a significant difference between individual and collective contributions of the psychoacademic variables in predicting the first-year college students' performance in biological science? Third, is there a significant relationship between individual and collective contributions of the psychoacademic variables in predicting the first-year college students' performance in biological science? Fourth, is there any significant difference in the selected psychoacademic variables between male and female students in relation to their academic performance in biological science? And lastly, which among the aforementioned psychoacademic variables contribute most to the students' academic performance in biological science? For my research hypothesis, next slide please, my first null hypothesis is there is no significant difference between the individual and collective contributions of the psychoacademic variables in predicting the first-year college students' performance in biological science. Second, there is no significant relationship between the individual and collective contributions of the psychoacademic variables in predicting the first-year college students' performance there is no significant difference in the selected psychoacademic variables between male and female students in relation to their academic performance in biological science. And lastly, study habit contribute most to the students' academic performance in biological science. For the significance of the study, next slide please. This study seeks to contribute in a number of ways. Specifically, the main target beneficiary of this study would be the students. So the findings of this study would help them develop ways on how to improve their academic performance in biology. So the findings of this study would also be helpful for academicians, for them to be able to develop theory that will explain the different factors that affect academic performance, or on how to improve the academic performance of students. Classroom teachers, for them to adopt teaching strategies or methods that will improve students' academic performance. So curriculum planners and designers will also benefit from this study because the findings of this study will help them utilize relevant approaches to enhance meaningful learning of biology. And education psychologists would also gain benefit from this study because it would be great help for them in looking based on how to reduce dropouts and failure rates in this subject. For next slide please. For my conceptual framework, so there are so many factors that affect students' academic performance. But in this study, the focus is given to 4 selected psychoacademic variables which are commonly highlighted in the various research studies. These include study habit, time allocation, attitude towards the subject, and attitude towards the teacher. The study will not only determine the sole effects of the above mentioned variables to the academic performance of the students, but also will try to assess the collective effects of the said variables on the academic performance. Furthermore, the present study would also determine which among the factors greatly affect the academic performance of the students studying biology. For my methodology, so I will use qualitative and quantitative research design in this study. So in the course of conducting this research, the researcher will not have direct control over the changes in the variables under study. Thus, the research will basically of a causal comparative design. In this kind of research, the inferences from the dependent variable are only based on the natural variations in the independent variables as they affect or influence the dependent variables. The study will employ, as I have said, both quantitative and qualitative research design methodologies. So for the quantitative part, this study will utilize questionnaires, while for the qualitative part, an interview will be conducted to verify the answers of, or the response of the students. For the respondents and locale of the study, so the participants of the study will be composed of a cohort of first-year CIPHL students of the Lyceum of the Philippines University, Manila, who are officially enrolled in biological science subject during the second semester academic year 2014-2015. For the instrument, so I will use 2 instruments here. One is the Student Psychoacademic Information Questionnaire, and the second one is the Academic Performance Evaluation Tool in Biology. For the Student Psychoacademic Information Questionnaire, so it is consisted of 2 parts. Part 1 is used to enable the researcher to is consisted of 5 items for each of the 4 psychoacademic variables under study. And I will ask the respondents to express their level of agreement or otherwise in each statement based on a 4 Likert type scale of strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. Then, for the academic performance evaluation tool, so this will be used to ascertain the respondents' academic performance in biology. So I will basically make a 60-item multiple choice test and will be given to the student respondents. So to validate the instrument, so I will ask the instrument will be checked by a panel of experts who are handling biological science, and the reliability coefficient of the instrument will be determined by computing the current map alpha, which considers 0.75 value for each question. For the statistical tool, so the analysis and interpretation of the data that will be gathered, frequency count and percentage will be used to determine the profile of the respondents in terms of the student-related factors such as gender and age, while the frequency count will also be used to determine the amount of time allotted per week by students in studying their biological science subject and doing other activities related to the subject. Second, I will also use the analysis of variance to determine if there is a significant difference in the students' performance in biology and then the selected psychoacademic variables. I will use the level of significance at 0.05 level of significance. Third, statistical tool that will be utilized in this this research is the person-product moment of correlation, which will be used to determine the relationship between students' academic performance in biology and selected variables